Yesterday's meeting between the president and the congressional leaders on the debt ceiling was the most heated so far, with Majority Leader Eric Cantor insisting that no plan, which includes revenues, will ever pass the House. To that, Obama reportedly fired back, "Don't call my bluff, Eric," and abruptly ended the meeting. And now, well, there seems to be a growing rift inside the Republican Party on that topic. And on that, a new Quinnipiac poll shows us the damage they've done to the Republicans by their ridiculous position on taxes. And it goes like this. The Republicans, when it comes to the question of dealing with this issue, the deficit and raising the debt ceiling, the president is chosen to do it 45-38 over the Republicans. And I might add, about 2 weeks ago, the Republicans had an advantage on that. The Republicans are digging themselves a deep hole. It doesn't break my heart, but I will tell you, the party of Lincoln is turning into the party of T, and it's going to cost them. Right, Eric?
I will give you that Mitch McConnell's backup plan has divided, put a split right down the middle of the party. But the bottom line is, look, 2010, the Tea Party flipped the House in 2010, a couple of months ago. People were elected on smaller government and no higher taxes, no new taxes. They're going to hold that party line, so they're going to have to figure out a way to get to this debt ceiling raise without raising taxes. And so far, the only way I've heard, is through this cut, cap, and balance, and they need the balanced budget amendment to get that done. Can the Senate pass that?
But here's the problem. You're not going to get that through. You're not going to get 2/3 votes for a constitutional amendment in both bodies. So that's a debt issue, too. Look, you're down to this. You're down to whether you're going to have a clean debt ceiling bill or you're not going to have that. Are you going to have the $2 trillion? Probably not, because they can't seem to be they're within $1 trillion, not within $300 million. The $4 trillion, the Obama Boehner bill, is not going to go. And now you got McConnell, which is from both sides. From both sides, I think you're right. The Republicans are outraged over it. They're split over it. I happen to think it's not a bad idea, except it leaves it up to Obama to do the heavy lifting, which he's doing anyway.
Well, can I ask you, Obama promised during the campaign balanced budgets. Where are the balanced budgets? He hasn't even really given us a budget. When he did, it was voted down by his own party.
Balanced budgets.
That's a campaign promise, Bob. In 2008,
you'd have to show me when that happened, because
I'm happy to point it out after the show.
What I love is Bob's wishful thinking that these polls are actually true. I think that the debt ceiling, I think once the debt ceiling is behind us, which it will be, that it will last, that the bounce that President Obama gets from it will be about as long as the bounce that he got for authorizing the killing of bin Laden.
Let me also be clear about here. On handling the economy in the same poll, he was not doing well at all. I understand that. But what I'm saying is these debt negotiations, forget the debt ceiling.
But no one's going to care.
Well, no, wait. They are going to care about a division in the Republicans are going to care about a division in the Republican Party.
Okay, but I know that you like to think that there's this big division between Boehner and Cantor. And look, maybe behind the scenes there is, but right before we came on air, they had a big showing of how they get along, and they are trying to bridge a divide. There's a development and evolving of the Republican Party, but I don't think it's a bad.
And at the end of the day, do you really think that they're not going to come together to vote against Barack Obama?
Do you remember when DeLay put his arm around Gingrich? He didn't realize he had a stiletto in his hands when he did it, and Gingrich went. There's one thing clear. Eric Cantor, I can't believe it. Actually, I mean, he wants to be speaker. He's after Boehner, and if this guy becomes speaker again, it's the second trip I take to New Zealand.
I love how he said. I love how the president said, "Don't call my bluff," which basically proves that he's bluffing.
No, he's not. He got fed up with it because Cantor's changed his position.
Like he's on the View.
Cantor it reminds me of a bad bookie I used to have. The guy would change the odds every time he sat down there. Everybody's tired of this punk.
I got to tell you, I've learned a couple of things for this debt ceiling crisis. One, I really am tired of talking about the debt ceiling crisis. I want this thing to be over. I'm like the kid in the backseat of the car saying, "Mom and Dad, stop fighting. This is driving me nuts." But I have to say, it's the first time in my life I've agreed with Bernie Sanders. He's a socialist, and he said on MSNBC, nobody's going to touch Social Security. There's enough money in there. So that was an empty threat by Obama. So there's two things that they keep talking about that we have to worry about with the debt ceiling. They worry about seniors and vets. How are we going to take care of them? That no one's talking about green initiatives or NPR. That's the only two things that we care about are those two things. Then cut everything else.
Greg,
that's the solution.
We just got a piece in here to show you how this thing is starting to ignite
you
anger on both sides.
You didn't hear a word I said.
I heard everything you said. It was just fine up until the green thing.
Yes.
But Dana, a job Dana used to have as a press secretary. Let's look at this video we have of the current press secretary, Mr. Carney, talking about this issue with a reporter and not in a good spirit.
In theory, would it also be that could these meetings be held in other places? I suppose in theory they could be. But if we felt like they should be, I think we'd be there. Ask me a question that makes sense and I can answer.
Dana, you never would have done
Dana,
that.
have you ever gotten close to saying that?
She's too
I remember
classy.
that feeling of when I'm trying to think of who he's looking at actually, because there's a seating chart. I remember that feeling of the immense frustration. What's funny is that Jay Carney, who actually used to be a reporter, used to ask questions like that. And if you're at the podium every day, you can get so frustrated and you can pop off at somebody. I remember I did that one time to a New York Times reporter, and I felt bad about it. I still feel bad about it. I'm still apologizing for it today.
Don't wish that on.
One of the things that you just answer the question, go back to your office, and then yell at your staff.
You reminded me a little bit of Eddie Haskell.
Who?
Jay Carney.
Jay Carney? Oh.
Yeah.
Do you realize something? I'd love to pull a chart up. I hate to do this in the middle of your block, Bob, but take a look at the amount of money we have in our treasury. And look at this is by day. We're down to $53.8 billion. Now, see that number right there?
Yeah.
All right, look at that, $46 billion. Facebook is worth more than we have in treasury.
And
Google is worth more than we're in trouble.
If you tax the rich and you cut everything like Greg said, cut defense, cut everything, it still doesn't get us where we need to be. And I don't know why the president doesn't just work with Republicans. It will help him with independence. I know he doesn't take advice from me.
By the way, if you all had done such a good job of selling this debt that is such a big deal, and I agree you did a good job, we could get $53 billion up, turn the presses on, and print another $1 trillion.
Oh, that'd be great. And then gasoline would be about $8 a
guys
gallon.
like you and Cantor who push this crap out here and scare people to death. There's that deficit. Doesn't matter. Dick Cheney
also,
said that.
you're a seasoned political consultant. Do you think that it's a good idea for President Obama to put out an ad that says, "I successfully stared down Republicans and made them dramatically increase our debt"?
Yeah, well.
What do you
want to say, Eric Cantor?
No, I was just going to say there's no way any bill with revenues is going to pass the House.
I tell you, you're not going to bluff me anymore. I'm done. I'm finished, okay? I'm out of here. That's it. Don't bluff me. Don't call my bluff.
All right.
See you, Bob.
I'll read your tease. Coming up on the 5, is taking seriously obese kids away from their parents going too far? A new study says no. Come back, Bob. And should ex-cons get special treatment? We'll tell you what one city is doing to protect them.